Ham Fixin's Net, first and third Monday, 7 p.m., W5FC. W5FC.
Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Ooh, does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin tonight's Skynet? Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie. Weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general, sometimes specifically too. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break very enthusiastically, and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That means stations are minded to ID at the end of your transmission. This weekly net operates on this frequency with a field tone of 110.9. Check-in via F-Link are also possible. Pictures and live audio video links to fc.org right now for this. And remember to tell others about this. Participate. Yeah. Society events. Discussion topic of the evening was up, space exploration, space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discovery, satellite messages, and the 73 rounds. Depending on time, we will get maybe all or less. All amateurs licensed to transmit those frequencies are invited to check in. So we're going to go ahead and start with short time check-in. Please come as you call sign your name. We're transmitting from this evening. Short time only, please.
Normal state.
Kilo, Golf 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo. Jacob Short Time, Dallas.
Okay, I've got KG5 UFR, Jacob, short time, and Dallas. Anyone else, short time? Okay, just to remind everyone this evening, for some reason, the repeater went back into normal mode. So presenters this evening, remember to break carrier every once in a while or drop carrier every once in a while so we don't get a bozo timeout. I'll now take check-ins from, general check-ins from anyone. Please come with your call signs phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
This is Whiskey 5, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, W5BLT, Bill, Garland.
Kilo Juliet 5, Golf Charlie Papa in Hurst.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in DeSoto.
November 5, Bravo Bravo, Bill in Irving.
This is Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform, Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas.
This is Alpha Golf 5, Papa Mike, Rich in Rockwall, AG 5 p.m.
This is November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, far north Mesquite.
I have to be the next one to check in since I'm from Mesquite. Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, and Bob the Cat.
Kilo 5, Mike, Charlie Delta, Cody in Dallas.
W5FT.
Okay, let me go ahead and get those checked in. Let me see here. I need a filler. A5GCP over in Hurst. Could I get your name, please?
Yeah, sorry about that. Name is Clark.
Well, hello, Clark, and welcome to the net. Please come back again soon. We're about 90 minutes long, so stay awake. Next is James, KG5, Whiskey Victor Lima over in Carrollton, WB5OZL, Brenda. She says it's DeSoto, but I know she's actually in Dallas. She lied. N5BB, Bill in Irving, W5GUS, Gus, far northeast Dallas. Let's see, AG5 PM, Rich Rockwall, N5OF Clay, far north Mesquite, he says. KF5JHA, Chaz, and Bob the Cat, Mesquite. And the next one is Cody. I got distracted on a message, and I got K5 and didn't write everything else down. I've got old person's syndrome. So, Cody, could you give me your call, please?
You bet, Tom. I suffer from the same. Kilo 5, Mike, Charlie Delta, K5 and Whiskey.
I should know that. K5MCD. Well, I'll try next time. I'll take additional check. Come with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Charlie 5, Mike, Papa Oscar, Jamie, Mobile, downtown Dallas.
Okay, I picked up one more. KC5MPO, James. He's mobile in Dallas. Okay, let me go ahead and take check-ins over on Echolink. I think there's a couple of people over there that are not checked in yet. If you'd like to join us on Echolink, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. I will give you extra time because Echolink's so slow.
Is Alpha India 5, Quebec Echo, Robert, in the Cayman Islands.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray Kelly in point.
All right, we picked up two more. I got A52A. Robert, he's in the Cayman Islands this evening. Welcome, Robert, K5KTX. Miss Kelly in point. I'll go ahead and open the net up to anyone, anywhere. Please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next section of the net. There are always additional check-in opportunities. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be of ham, astronomical space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come with your call. Well, I wonder where Tony is this evening. I hope he's enjoying the evening off. But he usually brings all the announcements. But let me see what I can do here. We have the usual announcements. AMSAT Amateur Radio Group is 2 nets available to Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. You can actually 3 nets available. There's one out of Houston. You'll need Echolink installed and registered. You find the group under Groups and AMSAT. Live audio link is available. This is at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evenings, or you can go to amsatnet.com and you can listen on the active link there for audio. Dallas AMSAT.net East, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, every Tuesday, also at 8 p.m. on this repeater. Tom, N5HYP, is usually net control, and he does all the net check-ins as well. First Tuesday of the month is DRC Club Night, so there's no AMSAT.net East. There's also a unique and additional net on Dallas AMSAT.net West, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater at 147.140 megahertz with a PL110.9. That one has a positive offset. Ask away your questions about amateur radio satellites. We also have DRC nets available. We have on the first week on Mondays. We have Ham Fixin's net. That's a cooking net. We bring and share recipes and talk about cooking techniques and all that. It's quite fun. That's at 7 o'clock on Mondays. Tuesdays, we have MCOM 101, Emergency Communications. It's where we talk about emergency communications with served agencies. You do not need to be a member of any group, although we would like it if you come in and do a presentation or talk about emergency communications from your side of the fence. Third week, we have Ham Fixin's net. This is the second helping. Fourth week, we have GeekNet. This is being geeky beyond amateur radio. So we expand out to all the other geeky things we love. Fifth week is a surprise net. We told you what it is. It wouldn't be a surprise. Told you about the AMSAT.net East on Tuesdays. Fridays, we have Cert City Simulation at 8 p.m. Learn about emergency communications via Cert-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa, KF5, GRH is net control. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday. Cert City, all are welcome. Saturdays is the night of net. We have TechNet from 7 to 8 o'clock. We come talk about all things technical with amateur radio. Skynet's from 9 until 10:30. And then the Afterglow Movie Net from 10:30 to midnight. First and third Saturdays, Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air, or MODA, where you find out all about the club that maintains this repeater. Daily, we have the ARRL Net National Traffic System Training Net every night at 6:30. It's a training net, so you can't make any mistakes. Check in and find out what a formalized net is all about. and what traffic handling is about. Very good, man. So, tonight we have tonight's Afterglow Movie Net information, which I'm about to read to you. My highly accurate synopsis of tonight's movie, The Quiet Hour. The crash of civilization was significant. It had been a few years since Amway became self-aware and its minions scoured the countryside looking for fresh customers. But was one such person. She hadn't bought an Amway product in years. The Amway people knew that. She hadn't purchased washing machine glue silk, or Amway home dish drops, or surprisingly the same Amway scented hair oil serum, currently on sale, by the way. No, Sarah was probably the last person on Earth who had not succumbed to the Amway invasion. Join us for The Quiet Hour tonight at 10:30 p.m. I think we did this one before, and I think I even used Amway the last time, but I don't remember. It was worth repeating, I think, mainly because I didn't remember how it ended, but I do now. So come on by at 10:30 p.m. You don't even have to have seen the movie. Just make stuff up. We don't mind. Does anyone need any fills or have any announcements or would like to check in? Please come now. Okay, now you can't be quiet all night long, but we'll see what happens. All right, we have Jazz, KF5JHA. He's going to talk about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas event. I did reload your thing with the additional slides, so I did see your note just before I got on the air. So Jazz, KF5JHA, enlighten us, please.
Thank you. I've already lied tonight on Echo Link over there. I said Bob says hi. Actually, he says meow. Okay. Thank you, Tom. This is KF5JHA. Slide number 1, and our slide master is our net control tonight, Tom. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting is held on Friday, May the 24th. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas and also held on Zoom. Now, the featured speaker is going to be Vicki Dickerson from the Dark Skies Discovery Center. And we also have another featured speaker that will talk for a few minutes. His name is Chuck Allen. He's from the Astronomical League, and he'll be giving a presentation as well. Now, Saturday night public observing sessions continue. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions. But the majority of the times recently, it's been cloudy. And on the second Saturday, the stargazing is held at Frisco, and it was canceled due to clouds. So, oh well. You can check the TASS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. And this is KF5JHA and Bob the Cat. Back to our net control.
Very good. Thank you, Chaz. Next up is National Space Society events and activities. That one I'm going to call on Bill, N5BB. Bill, what do you have for us for this week, please?
Thank you, Tom. This is N5BB, shifting over across the room and stubbing my toe in the process. Off the air, I was saying, ouch, and maybe some other things I can't repeat on the air. I happen to be the membership director and the member at large for the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society, a nonprofit interested in things that humans do in space. We've had various things going on recently. This last Thursday, on May the 9th, we had a Zoom space forum from the National Space Society. This is something that occurs every couple of weeks, typically. And the name of this one was A Launch Director's Perspective. This was by Bob Seek, S-I-E-C-K. He was the Space Shuttle launch director for over 50 missions. Wow. He was also involved, he got started during the Gemini program and was involved in Gemini and Mercury before he became Space Shuttle launch director for over 50 missions. So he was a little bit too young to get involved really with the Mercury program. It was right after Mercury that he got involved. So that was very interesting hearing an old-timer talk about all these things that happened that he was involved with about launching spacecraft in particular, mainly the space shuttle, but also things before it. Then tomorrow, on May the 12th, Sunday, we'll have our monthly meeting of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society. Our normal meeting time is the second Sunday afternoon of each month, starting at 3:30 p.m. at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. That's on the southwest corner of Beltline and Highway 183 in Irving. This is going to be part 2 of the Moon and Mars, the discussions about how we might live on the Moon and Mars and how space flight to them will be difficult. You know, radiation, other kind of environmental issues, and just all kinds of other things about surviving on the Moon and Mars. Dr. Pascal Lee is the founder and chairman of the Mars Institute, and he's a planetary scientist at the SETI Institute. He's also director of the NASA Halton Mars Project at NASA Ames Research Center in California. So this is the second time he's given us a presentation virtually. So we're very honored to have him on this. If you have any questions about the National Space Society, or if you want to listen to Dr. Lee's presentation tomorrow, send me an email at n5bb@arrl.net or space@byrom.net. That's SPACE at BYROM.net. But don't wait until the last minute, because tomorrow afternoon before the meeting I'll be too busy. So if you want to send me a if you want to listen in on this presentation by Dr. Pascal Lee, please send it to me tonight or very early tomorrow morning. Then the next event that's coming up, we're talking really big. For you, those of you of a certain age, this is a really, really big event. That's what Ed Sullivan would have said, really, really big. This is the International Space Development Conference. This will be in a hotel adjacent to the LAX airport in Los Angeles. This will be in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks actually. It's going to be May the 23rd through May the 26th, right before Memorial Day. And I will be there, as well as several other members of the local National Space Society chapter, plus a lot of other space nerds from all over the world. And the day before the conference starts, I'll be there early on the 22nd of May, Wednesday, to go on a tour of the Griffith Observatory there, adjacent in Los Angeles. Never been to the Griffith Observatory. It's got a long history, so that should be very interesting also. That's all I got. Again, if you have any interest in learning more about what humans do in space, contact BB. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Does anyone need any fills or would like to check in? Please come with your call now.
This is
W5FC.
Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot India, WV4MFI, Ted Dallas, low power.
November Victor 5 Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth.
All right, we picked up two more. We've got WB4MFI, Ted in Dallas, low power, ND5F, Virginia in Fort Worth. Okay, well, you know what time it is now. It's time to talk about the main topic for this evening. I'm going to do that. Let me make sure I only have to do like 10 things here. Net control and the stream and all that good stuff. So let me tell you what it is. So lately, and it's been in the news all over the place, we've had solar flares or solar storm going on amongst the sun. We've had the northern lights that have been actually being seen through most of the United States, although I don't think Dallas we've seen anything, although people have said that it's possible, though I haven't heard anybody actually tell us that. I may ask if anybody, has anyone seen the Aurora Borealis? Why don't you come now and I'll ask you what it was like. Anybody see the Aurora Borealis here in Dallas or at any time? Please come to your call.
KF5 JHA.
Five KTX.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, we've got two. We've got K5JHA, Chaz, and then K5KTX, Kelly. So, Chaz, go ahead first. What do you got?
Last night was fascinating. In fact, northern lights were seen as far south as the Caribbean. So yes, throughout Texas, if you could see through the clouds, you were able to see the northern lights. In fact, there were some pictures that were taken by people not inside Dallas proper, but out in the countryside away from the city lights. And some of them actually aired on TV last night. The next person that's going to talk after me has some pictures, and I got to see hers. So anyway, I have a friend that lives up near a town called Telephone. He took some pictures as well. My daughter lives in North Dakota. She was able to see them easily last night. And I'll talk about another person seeing them in the northern part of the United States. But again, they were seen as far south as the Caribbean. And South Africa, the southern lights, they were able to see them as well. So anyway, KF5JHA. I'm looking forward to hearing what Kelly has to say.
Well, thank you, Chaz, and thanks for the report. I was wondering, I'd heard but not seen anything yet, but I haven't been looking that carefully either. K5KTX, Miss Kelly, what do you have for us?
Tom, this is K5KTX. Well, I wasn't expecting a whole lot last night. Went outside and figured out how to turn the security lights off that my dad insists on having. But we have a lot of clouds here. I'm in Point, so I'm about an hour and a half or so east of Dallas. And I could tell that, maybe something was going on, but I couldn't see anything visually, really, with my eyes. So I started taking iPhone shots. I didn't really think about getting any kind of other camera up, but I just started taking shots with my iPhone. 3-second exposures just to see what I could capture, and lo and behold, I was capturing some aurora on my iPhone. Not the greatest pictures in the world, as some friends of mine that are up north right now, but I was really surprised. So it was kind of a neat thing. I'm glad I went outside. Too bad tonight There is nowhere even within a reasonable driving distance right now that's not under clouds. So probably not going to get to see him tonight, but it was pretty fascinating to watch. I was going to go set up a GoPro last night on a time lapse, and just never did it. And I was afraid it was going to rain. And but anyway, that was pretty cool. I'm glad I went out there and made the effort, and hopefully we'll have something like that again. But that's all I've got. This is K5 KTX. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Kelly, and thank you for that report. Maybe you'll be lucky you'll get to see something before all this disappears. Obviously, tonight's not going to be the night. I went outside a minute ago to take care of the pool, and it was raining. So, cloudy, rainy, oh well. All right, so, presentation, what are solar storms, and do we need to worry? I don't know if I've answered these really well, but I did bring this, this is my topic this evening, and I stole everything from Wikipedia and a couple other sources. So, here we go. A solar storm is a disturbance on the sun which can emanate outward across the heliosphere, affecting the entire solar system, including Earth, and its magnetosphere, and is the cause of space weather in the short term with long-term patterns comprising space climate. Solar storms include a solar flare, a large explosion, which is a large explosion of the sun's atmosphere, caused by tangling, crossing, or reorganizing of the magnetic field lines. More on that in a minute. Coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, a massive burst of plasma from the sun, sometimes associated with solar flares. Geomagnetic storm, the interaction of the sun's outburst with Earth's magnetic field, and solar particle event, or SPE, which is a proton or energetic particle, called an so it says SEP too. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. So first off, a solar flare. A solar flare is a relatively intense, localized emission of electromagnetic radiation in the sun's rays, accompanied by a coronal mass ejection. Solar particle events and other eruptive solar phenomena. The occurrence of the solar flares varies with the 11-year solar cycle. Solar flares are thought to occur when stored magnetic energy in the sun's atmosphere accelerates charged particles in the surrounding plasma. This results in an emission of electromagnetic radiation across the electromagnetic spectrum. The extreme ultraviolet and X-ray radiation from solar flares is absorbed by the daytime side of Earth's upper atmosphere, in particular the ionosphere, and does not reach the surface. This absorption can temporarily increase the ionization of the ionosphere, which may interfere with shortwave radio communications, which it has. The prediction of solar flares is an active area of research. Flares also occur on other stars where the term stellar flare applies.
W5FC.
Next is coronal mass ejections, or CME. It is a significant ejection of the magnetic field and accompanying plasma mass from the sun's corona into the heliosphere. CMEs are often associated with solar flares and other forms of solar activity, but a broadly accepted theoretical understanding of these relationships has not been established. If a CME enters interplanetary space, it is referred to as an interplanetary coronal ejection, or ICME. ICMEs are capable of reaching and colliding with Earth's magnetosphere, where they can cause geomagnetic storms, aurorae, and in rare cases, damage to electrical power grids. The largest recorded geomagnetic perturbation resulting presumably from a CME was the solar storm of 1859, known as the Carrington event. We've mentioned that on a number of occasions. And it disabled parts of the newly created United States telegraph network, starting fires and shocking some telegraph operators. Near solar maxima, the sun produces about 3 CMEs every day, whereas near solar minima, there is about 1 CME every 5 days. Next is the geomagnetic storm. A geomagnetic storm, also known as a magnetic storm, is a temporary disturbance of the Earth's magnetosphere caused by the solar wind shock wave. The disturbance that drives the magnetic storm may also be a solar coronal mass ejection, or CME, or much less severely, a co-rotating interactive region, IR, a high-speed stream of solar wind originating from a coronal hole. The frequency of the magnetic storm increases and decreases with the sunspot cycle. During solar maximum, geomagnetic storms occur more often, with the majority driven by CMEs. The increase in the solar wind pressure initially compresses the magnetosphere. The solar wind's magnetic field interacts with the Earth's magnetic field and transfers an increased energy into the magnetosphere. Both interactions cause an increase in plasma movement through the magnetosphere, driven by increased electric fields inside the magnetosphere. Oh, somebody used to edit this thing. And an increase in electric current in the magnetosphere and the ionosphere. During the main phase of the geomagnetic storm, electric current in the magnetosphere creates a magnetic force that pushes out the boundary between the magnetosphere and the solar wind. Several space weather phenomena tend to be associated with or caused by geomagnetic storms. These include solar energetic particles, or SEP events, geomagnetically induced currents, GIC, ionospheric storms, and its disturbances that cause radio and radar scintillation, disruption of the navigation, magnetic compass, and auroral displays at much lower latitudes than normal. Next up is, let's see. Let me say this. It mentions the Carrington event again. I'm just going to skip down. It says in 1989, a geomagnetic storm energized ground-induced currents that disrupted electrical power distribution throughout most of Quebec and caused auroras as far south as Texas. The Carrington event was mild compared with very rare extreme electromagnetic storms called Diaki events, which can cause spikes in radioactive carbon-14 in tree rings. Next is the solar particle event. In solar physics, the solar particle event, or SPE, also known as the solar energetic particle event or solar radiation storm, is a solar phenomenon which occurs when particles emitted by the sun, mostly protons, become accelerated either in the sun's atmosphere during a solar flare or an interplanetary space coronal mass ejection shock. Other nuclei, such as helium and HDE ions, may also be accelerated during the event. These particles can penetrate the Earth's magnetic field and cause partial ionization of the ionosphere. Energetic protons are a significant radiation hazard to spacecraft and astronauts. SPEs occur when charged particles in the sun's atmosphere are accelerated to extremely high velocities. These charged particles are referred to as solar energetic particles can escape into interplanetary space where they follow the interplanetary magnetic field. When solar energetic particles interact with the Earth's magnetosphere, they are guided by the Earth's magnetic field towards the north and south poles where they can penetrate into the upper atmosphere. The physical mechanism behind the acceleration of solar energetic particles leading up to SPEs is currently debated. However, SPEs can generally be divided into two classes based on their accelerating mechanism. This is KE5ICX, and this is Skynet. The effects of the solar storms, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, issued a rare G4 geomagnetic storm watch, marking the first storm of this magnitude in nearly 20 years. That would be right now, folks. This is a recent report. I think it was yesterday. The storm arrives after days of solar flares that reportedly sent bursts plasma and magnetic fields towards Earth, prompting a watch that could trigger flashy light displays and communication disruptions as a result of events that have occurred in space. The NOAA used the space weather scale to communicate with storm severity with the public. The tool describes the current and future environmental disturbances of three types: geomagnetic storms, solar radiation storms, and radio blackouts. The G4 geomagnetic storm is described as severe, the second strongest magnitude on the scale, just below G5, which is extreme. The scale also details the possible effects at each level, in addition to how the events happen and the intensity of physical causes. There are three areas, both on Earth and in space, that could see effects from geomagnetic storms: power systems, spacecraft operations, and other systems like satellite navigation for radio frequency disruptions. Among the effects that fall beneath the other systems area is aurora borealis visibility, also known as the northern lights. The clarity and viewpoint of the rare colorful sight is dependent upon the storm's category. Will the solar storm affect us on Earth? Fortunately, humans have nothing to worry about. Cannot pass through Earth's atmosphere to physically affect humans on the ground. However, a G4 storm is considered severe because it's capable of causing technology issues and potential communications disruptions on Earth. Note that the G5 storm are the max magnitude of these storms and may have different effects as a result. Among the possible consequences of a G4 storm are power station complications like widespread voltage control problems, as noted by NOAA. Plus, some protective systems will mistakenly trip out key assets from the grid. And then finally, spacecraft operations disruption. Spacecraft operations may experience severe charging and tracking problems, the agency writes, adding corrections may be needed for orientation problems. Other disruptions on Earth's ground can affect satellite and low-frequency radio navigation. And there you have it. That's my Frankenstein report on solar storms, and more of an explanation, maybe too much of an explanation, as to what all these different constituent parts are, how they affect us, and what to expect in this G4 geomagnetic storm currently underway on the sun. Okay, does anyone have any questions, or are there any additional check-ins? I may have to defer to an expert on this one, but it doesn't matter. You can come now with your call.
W5FC.
All right, let us move on. It's time for Chaz again. And Chaz has was up. So we've got a lot that was up. So Chaz, what do you have? What do you have for us this evening? Let's see here. I gotta get the slide thing to work. Hold on. Come on, slide. You can do it.
Well, Tom, the first thing you have to do is plug in the slide projector and then get that plastic slide tray to seat correctly in the slide projector, and then see if it'll drop, and make sure the bulb doesn't burn out in the middle of the process. Oh, there's a lot of complicated things for this. This is KF5JHA, Chaz. We call this segment of Skynet Was Up because it's all about what's going astronomically over the next couple of weeks and beyond. And yes, that was slide number 2. Did you get slide number 2 in the tray okay, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's working now. Please go ahead. I'll make sure the bulb is working.
Well, the good old days slide projector. If you were kind of cold, you just put your hand up next to the exhaust fan on the slide projector because the bulb got really hot. Anyway, okay, Slide Master, slide number 3, please. Now, Tom talked about this. There was aurora last night that was visible throughout North America due to the extreme solar activity, and I already talked about it being as visible as far south as the Caribbean. Wow. Multiple X-class solar events have occurred over the last couple of days, from a very large sunspot group resulting in a severe geomagnetic storm that may persist through Monday. Just to let you know, if you've got your solar eclipse glasses, go find them. If it clears off any tomorrow at all, take them out, go outside, take a look at the sun, and you can see the sunspot group with just your solar eclipse glasses. Last time I checked, yesterday, I couldn't see it today. Yesterday, I could see easily this sunspot group was more than 16 times bigger than the Earth. Wow. Okay. Now, if you're watching the video version of Skynet, that would be found by going to W5SC. Well, just go to the W5SC website and then click on the video version of Skynet, and the picture that you might see was taken by a task member. His name is Phil Jones. He happened to be visiting the northern part of the United States, and he was at Devil's Tower last night, and this picture is one of the best I've seen. But pictures were captured by people throughout Texas, even though there were clouds. Unfortunately, much of North Texas, in fact, I just look at the video version, I should say the visible satellite version of the cloud cover over Texas, we're not going to see anything tonight anywhere in Texas. In fact, North Texas is under a flood watch until 1 p.m. on Monday, and with clouds and rain in the forecast. By the way, the large sunspot group, like I said, was easily visible in solar eclipse glasses. Yesterday was easy. I wasn't able to see it today because it wasn't clear enough when I went outside. Anyways, all right, well, that's kind of interesting. I hope we get to see some more aurora this solar cycle. Slide Master, slide number 4, please. On May the 7th was new moon, so the current phase of the moon is a waxing crescent. I could see the waxing crescent last night. On May the 15th is the first quarter moon. On May the 17th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 4,640 kilometers. On May 23rd is the date of full moon. On May the 30th is the third quarter phase of the moon. On June the 2nd, the moon is at perigee.
Repeater, timeout, 4:15 seconds. Timeout, timer, reset. Repeater, enabled.
I'm so sorry, I forgot about the timeout. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 5, please. I'm not sure where it left off at, but let's go to May the 11th, the moon in Vesta. Tonight, we're in conjunction in the west-northwestern evening sky. Slide number 6, please. On May the 12th, the moon and Pollux, the star Pollux, are in conjunction in the west-northwestern evening sky. Slide Master, slide number 7. On May the 13th, the moon and M44, which is also known as the Beehive star cluster, are in conjunction in the western evening sky. That should be a beautiful sight. Get your binoculars out, see what you can find. And Slide Master, slide number 8. On May the 15th, the moon, Juno, and the star Regulus are in conjunction in the western evening sky. Juno is one of the minor planets. If you've never seen it, this is a good opportunity. Draw out the stars in the area and then go back and take a look in an hour or two, and whichever one moves, that's it. Yes, Clay, I was put in timeout. Slide Master, slide number 9. On May the 19th, the moon and Spica are in conjunction in the southern evening sky. And on May the 23rd, the moon and Antares are in conjunction in the southeastern evening sky. So that was slide number 10. The moon and Antares are in conjunction, but in fact, the moon occults Antares before it rises, but we can see the reappearance of Antares around 9:12 p.m. This is on May the 23rd. The time will vary depending on where you're located in the DFW area. You will need a very low southeastern horizon because the reappearance happens when the pair are only about 1 degree above the horizon, but if you've got a pair of binoculars, that's all you need. Might even be able to see it naked eye, but because it's low on the horizon, probably a pair of binoculars will work. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 11, please. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question or need a fill on any of the information? Or maybe you just have a general astronomy question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. So just an FYI, we rate the intensity of the solar flares. M-class or medium levels. If they get really big, they're X-class, and then X-class can go really high. The last few days, the highest X-class solar flare I saw was around 6. The Carrington event in 1859 may have been somewhere between X-class 40 and 50, which is really off the scale. Okay. Anyway, Slide Master, slide number 12. So as the moon waned last week, so these words of this segment of Skynet: stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live, at least right now. Until next time, actually I'll be doing another Skynet segment in a few minutes, and I'll try not to time out the repeater. So keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5, JHA, back to our night control. By the way, Bob the cat says meow, and hi to all of you.
Thank you, Chaz, and this is KE5ICX. I'm your net control this evening. Next up is space exploration and space history. This week, Brenda, WV50ZL, has the duties. And Brenda, don't forget to drop carrier this evening. We are in normal mode for whatever reason. The repeater reset back to normal, so do that every once in a while. Otherwise, you'll have the dreaded timeout. Brenda, please go ahead. WV50ZL from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This is WV50ZL. Well, of course, I had done in the news segment, I was talking about the CME, but Tom has covered that quite thoroughly. I have two images there, one of the sun and one of the aurora in Florida, and it's just beautiful. It's all red. But I questioned, well, why is it red? And some are green and some are blue. So, in case you don't know, I have some answers. If it's red, it's because it's from excited atomic oxygen at high temperatures, 150 miles or above. And it's only visible under intense solar activity due to low concentration of oxygen at high altitudes. Green means this is up to 150 miles. And it's excited atomic oxygen at lower altitudes. Green light is emitted instead of red due to higher concentration of oxygen. Blue is ionized molecular nitrogen above 60 miles. This reaction involves molecular nitrogen because atomic nitrogen is uncommon at low altitudes. Similar to red, blue, and purple is associated with intense solar activity. Next, Mars is kind of getting in the act too. It is blasting plasma out of its atmosphere into space. Mars appears to be blasting material out of its atmosphere, much as the Sun launches explosive coronal mass ejections, even though the red planet has no overall magnetic field. When the magnetic fields in ionized gas called plasma around a star like our Sun suddenly change direction or snap in two, there can be a large burst of energy that launches a parcel of plasma into space known as the coronal mass ejection. Hubble glimpses a star-forming factory. The celestial object showcased in this image from the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope is the spiral galaxy UGC 9684. Which lies around 240 million light years from Earth in the constellation Bootes. This image shows an impressive example of several classic galactic features are in the galaxy's center and a halo surrounding its disk. The data for this Hubble image came from a study of Type 2 supernovae host galaxies. These cataclysmic stellar explosions take place throughout the universe and are of great interest to astronomers, so automated surveys can scan the night sky and attempt to catch sight of them. The supernova which brought UGC 9684 to Hubble's attention occurred in 2020 and has since faded from view and is not visible in this image which was taken in 2023. Astronaut birthdays. Michael J. Adams, born May 5th, 1930. He flew the X-15 on Flight 191, unfortunately. He died when his plane crashed, but he was awarded astronaut wings posthumously. You may know the X-15 pilots who went high enough altitude got astronaut wings. Douglas H. Wheelock, May 5th, 1960. He flew the STS-120, Soyuz TMA-19, Expedition 2425. David Leedsma, May 6, 1949, STS-41G, 28 and 45. Donald A. Thomas, May 6, 1955, STS-65, 70, 83, and 94. Tamara E. Jernigan, May 7th, 1959, STS-40, 52, 67, 80, and 96. Charles Camarda, May 8th, 1952, STS-114. Vance Brand, May 9th, 1931, Apollo-Soyuz Test Project, STS-5, STS-41B, and 35. Lisa Nowak, May 10th, 1963, STS-121. And finally, Ellen Ochoa, May 10th, 1958, STS-56, 66, 96, and 110. History. It was kind of a slow week for that. I have one item on Freedom 7. On May 5th, 1961, the United States launched its first man into space. Alan Shepard piloted the Mercury Redstone 3 spacecraft for 263.1 nautical miles. The flight duration was 15 minutes, 28 seconds. The project had the ultimate objective of putting an astronaut into orbit around the Earth and returning him safely. The mission was a technical success. Pride in the accomplishment was dampened by the fact that just 3 weeks before, the Soviet Union had launched the first human in space. And if you want to see the spacecraft, it's on display at the Udvar-Hazy at Dulles, near Washington, D.C. That is all I have. Back to net, WB5OZL.
Very good. Thank you, Brenda. And this is KE5ICX, Net Control for tonight's Skynet. Next up is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. We have a twofer this evening, and I'm going to call on Chaz again, K5JJ. Chaz, what do you have for us?
Well, you know there's no extra charge for a twofer. I just thought I'd let you know. Slide Master, that would be Tom. Slide number 13, please. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC50ZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from almost its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Now, since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week, yep, is a twofer. Ursa Major, the Big Bear, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. Yeah, you've never heard of either one of those, have you? The Big Dipper is easy to find almost directly overhead in the early evening sky. If you have been wondering why we've had so much rain recently, it's because the Dipper is upside down and all of the water is falling on top of us. Wouldn't I make a great meteor bear? And right now the bear is upside down. Well, maybe we'll get to a joke about that in a few minutes. Slide Master, slide number 14, the jokes of the week.
W5FT.
Okay, so what do you call a bear with no ears? Well, if you take E-A-R-S off of bears, all you have left is the B. Get it? Bears without ears? Okay. What color socks do bears wear? They don't wear socks. They have bare feet. Why did the teddy bear eat so much lunch? Well, he didn't eat his lunch, sorry. He didn't eat his lunch because it was stuffed. I almost blew that one, didn't I? What kind of cars do bears like to drive? Ferraris. Why do grizzlies never look sad? Because whenever there's a problem, they just grin and bear it. So what do you call a bear with no money? Baroque. Okay. What do you call a bear with no teeth? Oh, this is an easy one. Someone on Echolink has to answer this one. What do you call a bear with no teeth? You can type it in as an answer. Go ahead. Clay, I know you can do this. Kelly, come on. What do you call a bear with no teeth? I'm just naming people out this on Echolink. Oh, well. What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Slide Master, slide number 15. As I said over on Echolink, since I was in timeout earlier, it was not my first time that I was in timeout. The name Ursa Major is Latin for the great or big bear. Ursa Major is better known by its famous asterism, which is part of the big bear, called the Big Dipper. Miser and Alcor are the famous optical double star. We say that they're optical double because we do not know if they are orbiting around each other, which would make them a true binary system. Even if they are not a true binary system, they are associated with each other because they share the same proper motion, as they are both members of the Ursa Major Stellar Association. The name Mizar is an ambiguous in origin. It could possibly be from a corruption of the name Mycar, which is the name of the Beta Ursa Majoris, the bottom star at the end of the Dipper's bowl. One of the two pointer stars points to Polaris. The name Alcor is a corruption of the Arabic phrase for the rider, which appears to be riding on the star Mizar. A number of different cultures in the past referred to Mizar and Alcor as a horse and rider. Ancient Arabs also used Mizar and Alcor as a test of visual acuity. Someone could see both stars, they were considered to have good eyesight. It just so happens that Mizar and Alcor was featured in the binocular highlight in the June 2020 issue of Sky and Telescope magazine. This article states that Mizar and Alcor is not simply stars, but two stellar systems. Alcor is actually a double star, and Mizar is at least a quadruple star system. The brightest companion of a Mizar is easily visible in small telescopes and in a large tripod-mounted binoculars. It is only a 14 arcsecond separation from Mizar. Slide Master, slide number 16, please. Messier Object 81 is a beautiful spiral galaxy. It is a nearby bright companion M82, which can be seen in a pair of 50-millimeter binoculars. M81 and M82 appear just as faint fuzzballs in handheld binoculars, but they're at least visible, making them both candidates for the Binocular Messier Club. M81 shows up much better in a telescope, as you would expect. It shows as a fuzzy oval shape with a brighter center, which is the nucleus of the galaxy. The area of the spiral arms is dimmer than the nucleus, but an 8 to 10 inch telescope, you can make out the spiral arms. I have seen them easily in a 16 inch telescope. Probably you'll do that in a couple at the West Texas Star Party. M82 is an unusual galaxy that is near M81. The two galaxies are associated with each other and are in fact the brightest members of what is known as the M81 galaxy group, which is the second closest galaxy cluster to our own local group. Only the Sculptor group is closer. M82 is the unusual galaxy that earned its place in Halton ARP's catalog of peculiar galaxies. It is unusual enough that ARP lumped it in a small handful of other galaxies into a miscellaneous category in its catalog, a class of galaxies he dubbed as unique. In a small telescope, it's easy to differentiate M82 and an M81 because of M82's edge-on appearance. This edge-on appearance has caused M82 to be nicknamed the Cigar Galaxy. Both M81 and M82 are known as Bode's Nebula because they were discovered by Jonathan Bode in 1774. Slide Master, slide number 17. M97 is the Owl Nebula, or planetary nebula, discovered by Bichon in 1781 and added by Messier to his catalog that same year. It's given the name Owl Nebula by Lord Rosse in 1848 after viewing it through a 72-inch reflector telescope. It is a very small and dim and smaller scope, but it's definitely noticeable and non-stellar in nature. Unlike many planetary nebulas, M97 and M108 are so close together that both are visible in the same low-powered field of telescope, in some telescopes anyway. Medium to large apertures are needed to see the owl's eyes. There are other Messier objects in Ursa Major, which include M40, M109, M101, M108. It is worth your while to look at these objects as well. This is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 18. Let's go to Ursa Minor. If you're not on Echolink, you need to get on Echolink during Skynet. Kelly over there says she loves the Owl Nebula. Who would have thought? Come on, that was funny. Slide number 18. Ursa Minor is Latin for Little Bear. It also forms the well-known asterism of the Little Dipper. The four stars forming the bowl of the Little Dipper are interesting in that they are second, third, fourth, and fifth magnitudes, providing an easy guide to determining what magnitude stars are visible on a given night. Polaris, also known as Alpha Ursa Minoris, is part of the engagement ring asterism. Polaris is also known as the North Star or the Pole Star. It is not the brightest star in the sky. In fact, it's the 49th brightest star in the sky. In earlier times, it was called Stella Polaris, but the name fell out of common usage a long time ago. Polaris is one of the most famous stars in the sky because of its location near the North Celestial Pole. The star is not actually precisely at the true pole, however, but it is a little less than 1 degree distance. During the next century, the distance will diminish, and the star will be as close to the North Celestial Pole, closest in the year 2102 AD. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the next total solar eclipse in North Texas in the year 2317. Polaris is the second magnitude yellow-white star, a spectral type F7. It is 430 light years from our solar system. It's also an easy double star for most small telescopes. Polaris is actually a triple star system, and the Hubble Space Telescope has successfully imaged the faint third member of the system. Polaris is part of a nice asterism called the Diamond Ring, or the Engagement Ring, which is easily visible in binoculars or a finder scope. Kochab, Beta Ursa Majoris. Kochab is derived from the Arabic term which means the star of the north. Its name comes from the fact that 3,000 years ago, Kochab was the closest star to the true pole. Kochab is the second magnitude orange star of spectral type K43 and is believed to be about 100 light years away. It appears yellow-white in a Dynamax 8 telescope. Slide Master, slide number 19. One more objects we'll talk about in Ursa Minor. NGC, which stands for New General Catalog, 6217, is a magnitude 11.2 galaxy located near the bowl of the Little Dipper. It is a barred spiral galaxy. Walter Scott Houston noted that it should be visible in any telescope of 8 inches or larger, but on good nights he's been able to see it with a 4-inch telescope. Being so close to the pole, it is visible throughout the year, and Houston notes that it provides a good test of sky transparency. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 20, please. There are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellations of Ursa Major, the Big Bear, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. Now, the Astronomical League has, at last count, 77 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. Now, if you observe just 10 objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen from the Astronomical League in about a year. Slide Master, slide number 21. And that is Miss Carolyn's Constellations of the Week, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now, next week we'll take a look at another twofer, Coma bernices, or Coma bernices, I've heard it pronounced both ways, bernices hair, and Canis venatici. I've heard that pronounced lots of different ways too. The hunting dogs. And this is KF5JHA, back to our net control. 73, everyone. Let's hope it clears off. Maybe by tomorrow night we can see some more aurora.
And thank you, Chaz. Most appreciated your work on these. They're really, really interesting, and tonight was a really good one, too. This is KE5ICX, net control for tonight's Skynet. I'll take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come with your call sign, phonetically your name and where you're transmitting from.
Alpha Echo 5, India Victor, name of Mike, Louisville.
Oh, that call I recognize, AE5IV, Mike. He's in Louisville tonight. Well, hi, Mike. I'm waving out the window at you. Let's see. Next up is space launches for this week. I have a list here, and I noticed on this, I get this information from spaceflightnow.com, and it's the launch schedule. They have added a section where they talk about what launched this week and how successful it was. I will add that next week. If it's there again next week. But let me tell you what's coming up. We have May 12th or 13th, Falcon 9 Starlink 6-58 launch. This will be SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. It'll launch a batch of 23 second-generation Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit. About 8.25 minutes after liftoff, the first stage will land on the SpaceX drone ship, a short fall of gravitas out in the Atlantic Ocean. And here it is, yet again, May 17th, the Atlas V CST-100 Starliner flight crew test. This will be from SLC-41 Cape Canaveral. The Alliance Atlas V rocket, designated AV-85, will launch Boeing's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on its first mission with astronauts known as crew test flight to the International Space Station. The capsule will dock with the space station, then return to Earth, landing in the western United States. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will fly on the mission. The rocket will fly in a vehicle configuration with 2 solid rocket boosters and a dual-engine Centaur upper stage. Next up to be determined, Test Flight 1 of Ares, ERIS. This will be from Pad 1 of the Bowen Orbital Spaceport. Gilmore Space in Australia is preparing to launch an inaugural flight of its Iris Block 1 rocket. The 3-stage rocket vehicle is 82 feet tall and is equipped with 4.9-foot diameter payload fairing. The rocket is designed to send up to 305 kilograms up into Earth orbit. First mission, called Test Flight 1, does not appear to have a payload on board. Now we jump to June. We have a Long March 2C launch. This is from Xicheng Satellite Launch Center in the People's Republic of China. The Long March 2C rocket will launch the space-based multi-band Astronomical Variable Objects Monitor, SBOM spacecraft. The satellite is a dual Franco-Chinese mission, which is dedicated to the study of the most distant exploration of stars, the gamma-ray burst. There are 4 main instruments on board, 2 of which are French, the other 2 are Chinese. The spacecraft will be launched into a 625-kilometer Earth orbit and will operate for at least 3 years, for an option to extend for another 2 years beyond that. June 25th will be a launch from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy. The Falcon Heavy will launch a 4th and final satellite in the next generation series of geostationary weather satellites for NASA. And NOAA will orbit 22,300 miles above the equator and monitor weather conditions across the United States. Then we have a second quarter Vulcan Centaur Dream Chaser 1, the SLC-41, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The United Launch Alliance Vulcan Centaur rocket will launch on a second demonstration flight with Sierra Space Dream Chaser cargo vehicle for the International Space Station. The Dream Chaser is a big lifting body resupply spacecraft that will launch on top of a rocket and land on a runway. This will be Dream Chaser's first flight to space. The Vulcan Centaur rocket will fly in the VC-4L configuration, which is 4 GEM 63 XL solid rocket boosters, a long-length payload fairing, and 2 RL-10 rockets on the Centaur upper stage. All right, I'm going to cut it off there, and we will move on to the next section of the net, which is recent astronomical discoveries, and that would be Brenda. Welcome back, Brenda, WB50ZL. What do you have for us for tonight?
This is WB50ZL. Unfortunately, I am not quite ready here, and I can't pull it up.
W5FC.
Brenda, you were cut off there. What was your last transmission?
Why don't you go on to do the next segment and come back to me? If I click on this link, it doesn't pull up the article. I'll have to go to the original source, okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let me then skip over to, what we got next? Visible satellite passages is next, so we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll come back to you as soon as we're done. The International Space Station does have several really good passes coming up. We have May 12th, there's a double pass. In fact, at May 11th today, there were several passes. It's rather favorable, so look for them. And then 90 minutes, morning and evening. So we have May 12th in the morning, minus 2.8 magnitude at 4:28 a.m. Out of the north-northwest, reaches its highest point at 4:29 at 46 degrees in the northeast, and it'll fall to the east-southeast at 4:32. In the evening, we have a minus 2.5 magnitude at 21:04 in the evening. Out of the west-southwest, reaches its highest point at 21:08 at 45 degrees, and it'll fall to the northeast at 21:11. May 13th, we got a twofer for that one, 5:18 in the morning with a minus 1.5 magnitude out of the south. It'll reach, I put this now, it's kind of low, but I'll read it anyway. 5:18, it'll reach 12 degrees out of the south, and it'll fall at 5:19, 10 degrees. And then on 13th, in the evening, minus 0.3 magnitude, 21:54 out of the northwest, reaches highest point at 11 degrees. That's pretty low. I don't know why I'm reading this. 5:18, and it'll fall to the south at 5:19. Tiangong has one good pass. That's on May 20th, minus 2.2 magnitude at 5:34 a.m. out of the west-southwest. It'll reach its highest point at 82 degrees at 5:36, and it'll fall to the east-northeast at 5:39. And then finally, I'll give you a couple of Hubble Space Telescope passes. We've got one on May 15th. This one is 1.2 magnitude at 5:47 a.m. out of the west-southwest. It reaches its highest point at 5:50 at 42 degrees in the south, and then it'll fall at 5:54 to 10 degrees to the east-southeast. Then we have on the 16th, this one is 1.2 magnitude, 5:29 a.m. Reaches highest point at 5:32 out of the south at 41 degrees, and it'll fall at 5:36 even at the east-southeast at 10 degrees. Okay, Brenda, are you ready for? Are you ready now?
WB5OZL, yes. My apologies for falling through the cracks here, but we got it together here. This is an article entitled Iron Fingerprints in Nearby Active Galaxy. After starting science operations in February, Japanese-led XRISM, spelled X-R-I-S-M, but they say it's pronounced XRISM, an X-ray, and this stands for X-ray Imaging and Spectroscopy Mission, studied the monster black hole at the center of Galaxy NGC 4151. XRISM's Resolve instrument captured a detailed spectrum of the area around the black hole, said Brian Williams, NASA's project scientist for the mission at the agency's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. The peaks and dips are like chemical fingerprints. They can tell us what elements are present and reveal clues about the fate of matter as it nears the black hole. XRISM, is led by JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, in collaboration with NASA, along with contributions from ESA, and it launched September 6, 2023. NASA and JAXA developed Resolve, the mission's microcalorimeter spectrometer. NGC 4151 is a spiral galaxy about 43 million light years away in the northern constellation Canis Venactici, I hope. The supermassive black hole at its center holds more than 2 million times the sun's mass. The galaxy is also active, which means its center is unusually bright and variable. Gas and dust swirling towards the black hole form an accretion disk around it and heat up through gravitational frictional forces. Sorry about that. Lost my place. Sorry. It's creating the variability. Some of the matter on the brink of the black hole forms twin jets of particles that blast out from each side of the disk at nearly the speed of light. A puffy donut-shaped cloud of material called a torus surrounds the accretion disk. In fact, NGC 4151 is one of the closest known active galaxies. Other missions, including NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory and Hubble Space Telescope, have studied it to learn more about the interaction between black holes and their surroundings, which can tell scientists how supermassive black holes and galactic centers grow over cosmic time. The galaxy is uncommonly bright in X-rays, which made it an ideal early target for XRISM. Resolve's spectrum of NGC 4151 reveals a sharp peak at energies just under 6.5 keV, kilo electron volts, an emission line of iron. Astronomers think that much of the power of active galaxies come from X-rays originating in hot, flaring regions close to the black hole. X-rays bouncing off cooler gas in the disk causes iron there to fluoresce, producing a specific X-ray peak. This allows astronomers to paint a better picture of both their disk and erupting regions much closer to the black hole. The spectrum also shows several dips around 7 keV. Iron located in the torus caused these dips as well, although the absorption of X-rays rather than emission, because the material there is much cooler than the disk. All this radiation is some 2,500 times more energetic than the light we can see with our eyes. Iron is just one element XRISM can detect. The telescope can also spot sulfur, calcium, argon, and others depending on the source. Each tells astrophysicists something different about the cosmic phenomena scattered across the X-ray sky. That's all I got. Back to net, WB50ZL.
All right, very good. Thank you, Brenda. And this brings us to the end of the net. Do I have any final check-ins this evening or any final comments? Please come with your call. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and clear it all out. Tonight we had 18 hams checking in, including the net control. And thank all those who checked in this evening. Hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration, because on this net, the sky is never the limit.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
As well as anyone wishing to do a presentation. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5sc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and X, as well as our audio, video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to the club website, w5sc.org, at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-ray, and I'll be closing the net at 22:29 local time. Until next Saturday night, I already did that. 7-3 everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And we'll be back for tonight's meeting. What is the name of our movie? The Quiet Hour from 2014. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll see you then. KE5ICX cleared until then. Okay, it is now time for the Afterglow Movie Net. What is the Afterglow Movie Net? Well, anybody who's awake probably knows. If you're not awake, then you're hearing me in your dreams. But what the Afterglow Movie Net is, essentially we talk about, as our final net on Saturday evenings, some movie that we've been assigned to watch. Sometimes they're good, many times they're not. In this case, tonight's movie is called The Quiet Hour from 2014, which, by the way, I guess we did a few years back and I'd forgotten about it, but at any rate, there's new people and a new opportunity to talk about this fine film. Let me tell you a little bit about the film. This comes from Wikipedia. The Quiet Hour is a 2014 British science fiction film written and directed by Stephanie Joanne and produced by Sean Anthony McConville. It stars Dakota Blue Richards, Carl Davies, Jack McMullen, and Bridget Miller. Here is the plot. It says, humans are the few and far between since Earth is invaded by unseen extraterrestrial machines that harvest the planet's natural resources, relentlessly kill its inhabitants. In a remote part of the countryside where starved humans have become as dangerous as the alien machines hovering in the sky, a feisty 25-year-old, Sarah Connolly, sets out on a desperate attempt to fight back a group of bandits and defend her parents' farm, the remaining livestock, and the solar panels that keep them safe from extraterrestrials. If she doesn't succeed, she will lose her only source of food and shelter. But if she resists, she and her blind sibling will be killed. And if the mysterious intruder dressed like a soldier who claims he can help them turns out to be a liar, then the enemy may already be in the house. The film was shot in County Tipperary in Ireland and made its world premiere on July 2014 at the 26th Galway Film Festival, I guess. It is nominated for Best UK Feature at the 22nd Raindance Film Festival, where it made its UK premiere on October 3rd, 2014. The film was produced by Frenzy Films and was distributed by Vision Films. There are two comments about it. One was from the Blueprint Review. It says there's a very English bleakness about the film's atmosphere, and the leads are quiet and non-hysterical, stoical, just how you might expect most of the UK to act were we to get invaded by aliens. Then Cryptic Rock says, with a 4 out of 5 stars, while the film is great, original, and engaging approach to the post-apocalyptic film genre, it seems to focus more on character and dialogue than an actual story. The pace overall is very slow for an entire film, but the well-developed protagonist makes it worth watching experience. It will be exciting to see more from this exciting director. Okie dokie, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. This is the plan. I will go ahead and take a check-in. Please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see the film? You do not have to have seen the film to check in. This is one of these alien invasion films, so you can make up whatever you want or talk about the film or some other film. It's perfectly fine. We'll talk about the plot on the first round. The second round, we'll talk about characterization. Third round, we'll talk about anything you want, but that can include music, sound, video, picture, anything you want at that point. Does this remind you of some other bad movie you've seen? So, let's go ahead and get started. I will take check-in. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see tonight's film, The Quiet Hour from 2014? Let's get started.
I guess I'll go first. W5BLT, Whiskey 5, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, Garlic.
WB5OZL, Brenda in Dallas.
Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu, Whiskey, 8 there, Weatherford. I saw the film.
Bravo 9, Sheriff Kirkland, Sean Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen this film.
Okay, let me go ahead and get these folks checked in. I got W5BLT, Bill over in Garland. I believe you saw the film. I'm going to put you down as a yes. WB5OZL, Brenda in Dallas. I know you saw it because we were watching it together separately. Saw the film. And Sean, KB9SOK in Fort Worth. Yes, he saw the film. Additional check-ins, please come now.
KJ5 EYK, KJ5 EYK. Alex from Allen.
Okay, KJ5EYK. Alex in Allen. Welcome, Alex. Glad you're here on the net. Did you by chance have a chance to see The Quiet Hour from 2014?
No, I haven't. This is the first time I'm catching that on my FT500. Normally I have to drive around in my car with my handheld, so I didn't get to see it. I didn't hear last week's net, so I didn't see the film.
Okay, that's okay. By the way, you got a good signal. Yeah, we'll come back to you. If this reminds you of anything you've seen before that's better, please pipe up. We want to hear from you because we like good movies occasionally, too. All right, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start at the top with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, I don't know if you saw the film or not. I think you did. But at any rate, you're up. Tell us what you think about the plot. Or if you don't know about the movie at all, just make something up. It's fine.
Hey, thanks. Yes, I'm sorry. I did see the movie. You know, this is the second time I've seen it. I don't recall what my thoughts were the first time. I'm thinking I didn't like it the first time, and I don't think I liked it the second time. But I think a lot of it was visual, and so I'm hoping to get some clues from everybody else. And that's why I didn't want to go first. But anyway, I did. You know, the plot, it was an interesting plot. You know, we've seen the alien invasion thing before, humans getting wiped out, hiding from the aliens. I think it should be called the Quiet Hours because I thought in the review they had 2 hours a day. But it was just kind of strange because we don't really know. We didn't really get to see the aliens except for the spaceships flying over and their little drones zapping people. And so there's not a lot of description about the aliens there. And it was kind of a slow-paced movie. It was a drama, more, I think, than a science fiction. You could have had something viral wipe out the humans and still kind of had the same plot. It was interesting with the humans who were trying to take over the farm, and then you're having to defend against that. And of course, the blind brother. So as someone who is blind, I was kind of honed in on that. And it's interesting to me because there's a lot of mobility training if you lose your vision that goes on. So. There's some aspects of the film that did kind of catch my interest, but I think it was for me just awful slow and kind of not a lot of I thought things explained. And I was also trying to figure out how this group of 5, I think it was 5 people who were trying to take over the farm, how they hid and didn't get zapped. The aliens were patrolling around. And it's just interesting, too, that, you get these, you don't know what they were doing when they weren't drilling. Like, were they resting? Were they recharging their equipment? I don't know. So it was interesting. I may be in the minority on this one on not liking the film. But I did watch it again because I wanted to see if I had any different thoughts about it. But, you know, it's been so long back since we watched it, I couldn't remember what my views on, but I'm guessing have changed. So, anyway, that's my thoughts. Back to you, Tom, W5BLT.
All right, well, thank you, Bill, and we'll fill you in on some of the stuff you might have not been aware of in the film. There were some visuals, not a lot, not as much as you might think with the film. So most of it was dialogue. Virtually all of it was dialogue. So there you have it. Okay, next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, your thoughts on a plot for our fine film this evening, The Quiet Hour from 2014.
This is WB50ZL. Well, I'm kind of conflicted. It was well done. It held my attention. But I just didn't like it. It wasn't any fun, or it's, you know, it was sad. It's just very depressing. It wasn't entertaining. And, you know, it's kind of a cop-out. It's like, they don't know, you know, they can't use any imagination to tell us what happened and how it happened, and they didn't really develop the story very well. And, you know, just so many things just aggravated me. It bothered me that the woman buried her father without telling her brother he was dead. Did she think she could keep this up forever? You may as well go ahead and tell him. You can't, you know, he's going to figure it out sooner or later. What's the point in delaying that? There are just a lot of things like that where I'm like, no, don't do it that way. Do it some other way. So that's kind of my beef with the plot. Okay, back to net, WB50ZL.
Oh my, I think we're going to go flying through this one tonight. Next up is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, your thoughts on the plot for our film this evening from KE5ICX.
Hey, this is KG5BZW. It seems to me like it honestly. Let's just kind of back up and say what type of motif is this? Is it kind of a survival type motif? And what genre do you often find this kind of motif, or maybe I'm not using the right term, motif. Really just popped in my head a few seconds ago. But anyway, it's theme. Let's just put it, say theme. I know theme matches more what I'm saying. It makes me think of a Western. But it's like they had this Western, which had an interesting idea. I mean, I've seen stories, I feel like I've seen stories like this that are in Westerns that just were like a not completely, it almost feel like they knew they didn't have a completely, I hate to use the word good, but the story was kind of missing some qualities you would like it to have. So they, instead of making it a Western, they made it a kind of a sci-fi thing, which, you know, it did add to suspense. I'll say that, because you're trying to figure out why these guys, this group, are after these men, and adding that sci-fi kind of adds to it. But in the end, it's very slow. The payoff was nil, because the lady just goes, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm done," and then delivers herself to the aliens to get blown to smithereens, and then the aliens just disappeared too. So it was just so disappointing in that aspect. I mean, the story did kind of help hold me, but when the payoff is so bad, so lacking, I should say, I just was, it really soured my take of this movie. So, and I think that just about covers it. So, KG5 BZW, back to that.
Thank you, Jay. I'm sensing a theme here. Okay, next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, what did you think about the plot for tonight's movie, The Quiet Hour from 2014?
This is KB9SOK. I guess it's a good thing we're on 2 meters, because apparently aliens can't hear 2 meters, as we find out in this movie. This film, I kind of had split feelings on it. I wanted to like it. I do remember it from the first time we'd seen it. I'd forgotten the name of it, but within 30 seconds of the film, I remembered it, and it came back to me. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because I didn't initially remember it until I started watching it again. It had a very simple plot. And not that there's anything majorly wrong with that, because this is pretty much all dialogue. We do complain a lot that science fiction is nothing but, pew, 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 explosions, 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 and no depth. Well, this one, they did attempt to show you a little bit of emotion and build on the characters a little bit, and they tried to kind of make it a mystery, kind of like a double mystery. You didn't know if the guy there was lying to him. You didn't really know for sure, a lot about the aliens, and that they wanted our resources. So they tried to kind of do that, and I think part of the reasons they kept the alien part kind of a mystery was because I think they wanted you to feel like the people in this movie felt. They want you to feel like you didn't know what was going on and what it would be like to feel isolated and trapped and not be able to do anything. And I think that was kind of the intent. Interesting concept. Like I said, I really wanted to like it, and I kind of did, but it kind of didn't. It just drug out too long. And I say this seems like week after week, but this is one of those films that an hour and a half was just too long. There just wasn't enough content. This seemed like it should have been like a television, 45 minutes kind of a story, and then it would have been probably much better. So yeah, this is definitely your classic British, very dark. Even when it was sunlight out, it was still kind of overcast. It was definitely better than last week's movie, but I just struggled to enjoy this movie. It was just a little too slow for me and drug out. I liked the basic concept. Wasn't crazy about the ending. If there had been a fantastic payoff at the end, I think I would have liked it much better, and it would have been more tolerable to kind of stick to the long parts. But the payoff wasn't that great. I mean, they tried to off themselves in the end, and then they decided not to, and ultimately the aliens just left. And I think what I heard the other day, they're making a sequel to this thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough coming to much on this movie, because it was a pretty simple plot. And, I guess we'll get more. I guess it's more character driven. I guess we'll get to that in the second round. But overall, yeah, it's just kind of boring. A much better British, maybe apocalyptic kind of thing would be Shaun of the Dead. That movie is kind of funny and entertaining and fast-paced. But anyway, now let's stay on this one. So yeah, back to that. This is KB9SOK.
All right, thank you, Sean. We'll just have to see. Alex, I'm going to hold you for the next round. We'll talk about characterization and that. Think about your favorite alien invasion movies or compare and contrast, and we'll come back to you. So hang in there. let me go ahead and ask if there are any additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see tonight's movie, The Quiet Hour? No, Virginia. Well, I talked to her last night. We were on the chat while watching the movie. She wasn't overly pleased with the film, and I can understand why. Now, let me give you my opinion about the film. I didn't remember how it ended, and quite honestly, it kind of ended flat. The aliens just suddenly decide, okay, we're done scavenging the Earth. We'll go ahead and head back into space, or however the heck they got there. I thought that was a bit, okay, fine, everybody survived, even though, well, I mean, the brother and sister survived only by the skin of their teeth. Everybody dying, of course, is very depressing, so there was that. Now, the two remaining characters, this is always something that bugs me with movies. What lesson are we supposed to learn? What are we supposed to know? Survivalist instincts? Trust? What was the main theme here? I'm not sure there was one. I mean, we've seen survival films before, and I think it was Sean that mentioned, we could have done this with any type of film survival story. It could have been on a deserted island, for that matter. We've had the whole thing with the people coming in and trying to take over what assets are available, the haves and the have-nots. And there was some plot development, I guess, talking about how what was his name, that character's name? I want to say Brett. It's not Brett. The home invader. Yeah, I can't even remember his name. That's how exciting he was. You don't really know much, so there's no development there. There's no story development. We don't oust the aliens, they just leave. We have no character progression, which I guess we can cover in the next round, but even still, the people that remain never get any better. Yeah, there's kind of some heroics there, and then they die, but I don't know. Did I feel very engaged with those people? Not really. Did I feel some sympathy for the mother who lost her son, even though he was a bad boy and was going after the girl? I didn't particularly like that, so there was nobody noble in that regard. So we come back to what I always ask on these films. If the characters don't get better, they don't learn something from what happens, and the consequences, either death or just going on, or the aliens get bored. I don't know. Didn't seem, it was, let's put it this way, the movie was not bad, it just wasn't good. So it could have used more. Obviously it was a very low budget film. Overall, although the production merits of the film look good. It didn't look like a low-budget film, but certainly with avoiding the aliens and having any development there was probably budgetary rather than creative. So I don't know. Not overly pleased with the film and its conclusion, nor was the plot particularly engaging. This might have made a good Twilight Zone 30-minute episode, possibly. That would have held my interest a little better, and maybe a twist ending. I think Rod would have come up with a much better twist ending at the end that would have made sense. But I don't know. Like, what was the one with, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Agnes Moorehead, I think it was, it was with the spaceship that comes in, the little spaceship, and it turns out they're from Earth. That was a nice twist. So, sort of a similar idea, I guess. I don't know. Okay, let's go to the top. Next round is characterization. And Alex, I'm going to get you at the end of that line and see what you think and what would you suggest for a movie or ideas about it. But we're going to go ahead and go probably quickly through characterization on this one, I suspect. So So, Bill, W5BLT, what do you think about the characterization and the acting for our film?
Okay, and thanks to Brenda, now it helped to jog my memory when with the digging, burying her father, and I had forgotten. Obviously, Sarah, I believe, is the girl that's kind of the hero of the movie, taking care of her blind brother. She has to be pretty strong-willed to keep them together and to survive. And I think it was Catherine that was on the radio, the leader of this gang that was trying to take over the farm. I don't know that as someone who is blind, I'm not sure I liked how the brother was portrayed. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe even if I could see, maybe I wouldn't have either. And, Tom, I was just thinking it would make a good Twilight episode. I thought that this afternoon. So obviously, it could have been, I think, a really good Twilight episode. And I thought the same thing this afternoon. And, most reviews I've read, because I was trying to get more feedback, everybody seemed to like the person who played Sarah. Was it Dakota Blue Richard, I guess, if I have that right. So it seemed like everybody was real positive on that one. I did like kind of having the CB and the voices, and wanting to get the one guy that got shot in the lake, returned over to them, and that kind of added an eeriness to it. But then again, it with it dragging. So, if I had to pick a favorite character, I would say that, obviously the main character. It's none of them. I don't think anybody didn't live up to their part. It's just the storyline. So I think all the people worked with what they had and did well for what they had. Didn't have much, but anyway, so that's really all I've got. W5BLT.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just looking her up. She was in the Golden Compass, I guess. I'd not seen the movie. She was 13 at the time that movie came out, and they liked her in that. She's been nominated for a couple of awards there. She's done some other things. Stage and done some stage work. She's not been super active, but oh well. At any rate, there you have it. Let's see. Next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, what did you think of characterization, or the acting for that matter, from KE5ICX?
This is WB50ZL. The acting was fine. That's not something I have a problem with. They can only do so much with a script. But I'm very disturbed by the slipperiness of it. You couldn't figure out who was who and what was what, and whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. The invaders, that woman, you thought she was a bad person, then it turned out she wasn't so bad. And you're always kind of getting surprised as to what depths people sink to. If these invaders weren't that bad, why were they killing everybody? And this is the kind of situation, typical apocalypse, where food is an extremely short supply, and so people are killing each other over it. really disturbed by the brother and sister sleeping together. They never explained it, and I don't know what that was about or why or anything. It was just there, and they never explain it. So, you can think he moves in and becomes part of the family, and he and Sarah have kids, the hope for the future, and they start rebuilding the farm. It would have been a good ending, a pleasant one. As it is, I guess it's good that they didn't kill themselves, and now they can move on to the future. But it's going to be really hard at this point to build up from practically nothing. And they're still just the last of their family. There's no kid coming along, and she's still going to have to take care of. She's going to be farmed by herself. So it's kind of still, even though the aliens are gone and you're happy, it's still kind of a bleak future. And just not much to cheer about here. Back to net 50ZL.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay. Next up, KG5B says, WJ, your thoughts on characterization in the acting?
This is KG5BW. I think part of what I feel like what makes the film kind of bleak and not really. I know I'm kind of going back to plot, but I feel like I have to do this to talk about the characters. Is that in the end you kind of learn, or at least if some of the characters are trustworthy enough to this knowledge was imparted through some possibly untrustworthy characters, but they anyway, whatever. It's like everybody here is out for themselves, and they do what they have to do, and the hero wasn't maybe not necessarily. I mean, I'm calling. There's the heroine, which will be the sister, which I mean, she did her part fine, and for the story, she did what was written, she did fine. Honestly, for what was written, I think all the actors did fine, but it's just that the characters themselves are, it's trying to get at the story's so bleak, and the characters are rather bleak, and there's not that much as maybe the sister. The blind kid is kind of innocent in some aspect. I'm calling him a kid, even though he's clearly, they're both probably adults. Or near adults anyway, if not like teenagers, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just that you guys. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you kind of want to have a little bit more redeeming aspect to you're kind of supposed to cheer for. Than I thought was provided. They had some interesting discussions and everything, and like a lot of y'all said, it'd be better if it was a lot shorter. But I can't complain too much about the characters because I think a lot of the film problem with the film is, I mean the editing and whatnot. So because I saw a lot of footage. It could have been edited to be a lot quicker. It just wasn't necessary. Some stuff just was not necessary. I know I'm just dancing all over the place here, but characters, I don't know. That was more of a ramble than a opinion, but KG5 BBW.
Okay, thanks. What else to say either? Okay, Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, your thoughts on characterization of the acting from KE5.
This is KB9SOK. Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. Probably Sarah was the strongest character in acting on this particular film. Yeah, being such a simple plot, there wasn't much of a story arc. Obviously, Sarah had the biggest role there. I agree with why did she bury the father, not tell her brother? After all, it kind of cheated him out of the opportunity to be there while he was buried and have his goodbyes. I'm not real sure about that. But I think part of Sarah's arc was the fact that, here's this, she knows she's alone in the world other than her brother, and she's trying to protect him. And she's just trying to do the best she can. And, yeah, she's not making the best decisions maybe, but, that's a lot of weight, I guess, for a young person to have on their shoulders, knowing that they're it. They got to protect their siblings. So maybe, that extreme situation, maybe we shouldn't be faulting the character for doing that. But still, yeah, I didn't agree with it. The whole thing with them both sleeping together, I think that was more just for protection and for comfort, not anything inappropriate or anything like that. Because throughout this film, it seems like she didn't have a lot of faith in her brother and his abilities. I know he was recently blinded, but it seemed like he was pretty capable, and she never really gave him a whole lot of credit. It didn't seem like he could do anything on his own, but it seemed like he was very capable. So I agree with you, Bill. I don't like the way they portrayed him particularly well. But I guess it's maybe just her being overprotective. And then, yeah, really, most of this film was really focused on the quote-unquote invader that broke into their house. Was he lying, telling the truth? Yeah, obviously, they caught him a liar off the bat. Did his family really exist? And he, at the very end, I'm not sure I really convinced that he had the family. When she asked him what their names were, he's very hesitant to respond. I mean, at that point, but then they show him crying. So I don't know if at that point he was just faking it to get sympathy from her, because then he was pretty ready to make out with her, but yet his wife just recently died. So, I have my doubts that he's telling the truth even at the end. So yeah, then we had our bad guys, or maybe not such bad guys. After their brother was killed, they wanted revenge. Well, in a apocalyptic world, when you've only got your family left, you'd probably go to extremes, and you obviously would not be, particularly happy if somebody killed one of your brothers. So maybe you would seek out revenge. In the end, the mother decided it wasn't worth killing anymore, and decided just to sacrifice herself since she lost her family. So yeah, I think everybody would like to think that they would do the right thing in those situations. And I'd like to think that people would, but if it came down to protecting your family and there's not a lot left, it's hard telling really how far you'd go. So yeah, not a lot of character growth here, just really about people trying to survive and how they handled it, and each person kind of handled it differently. And unfortunately, like I said, the ending was really the worst part. It was just so unsatisfying. and as everybody else said, there just wasn't that great twist or good feeling in the end that would have made it worth the payoff of watching it. So it's unfortunate. But anyway, yeah, back to net. This is KB9. That's okay.
All right, thank you, Sean. I'm going to go to Alex now, KJ5EYK. Alex, you've had a chance to hear 2 rounds of this fine movie. What do you think? Is this something you want to see? From KE5I6.
Yeah, probably not. I think I can't figure out, based on the trailer that I watched in the computer, from what I'm hearing from everybody who actually saw the film, it sounds like it's in just general confused. Is it an alien invasion movie? Is it Mad Max meets The Farm? Is it Signs? Is it The Quiet Place that came out later, which actually would be borrowing from this one? Is it the movie Signs, which came out a few years before that? Sometimes the British are good at making films, and sometimes they're a miss. And it just sounds to me like this one was a miss, for sure, at least in what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing. Certainly not my style of alien invasion movies. I think my top round for that one has to go to Battle Los Angeles for alien invasion movies. But that's pretty much what I've got on that. KJ5, EYK, back to the net.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that, and thank you for your examples. You make good points all. So, Battle Los Angeles, huh? So is this film alien invasion, of course? Are there any notable actors in this film, or is it just sort of a pew pew pew?
Actually, yeah, there's a notable actor in that. Aaron Eckhart's in it. Michelle Rodriguez is in it. Ramon Rodriguez, Michael Pena. So there's a number of stars in this, actually.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to put a little asterisk. I'm always looking for new films, or actually Brenda, when it's a bad film, Brenda's films are the ones that are featured. If it's a really great film, then it's one that I found. So we try and keep that very clear so people know what to expect. But, all right, I'm going to go look it up and see what I can find. Maybe it's available. Okay, my comments on the acting and all that, I don't have much to add. I think everybody pretty much hit it. I thought the acting was quite good. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the acting or the characterization so much as the development, which I mentioned in the first round. That bothered me. We didn't really get anywhere with any of these people. There was some concern who they are not who they appear to be. But if you're going to do that, you've got to make it a more emotional thing. I didn't care about those people. I really didn't. I cared about the brother and the sister to a certain degree, simply because we spent more time with them than anybody. I guess it was okay, but even then, I didn't. The ending left me without much of a response because the pressure was off. The aliens just left, so we don't have that anymore. Will society spring back? I don't know. Do we care? I don't know. Will things get better? I don't know. So it was a lot of, I'm not sure what's going to happen next, or do I care? So maybe they're, again, I think, I don't know, finding the Statue of Liberty and a bunch of apes might, with a twist ending, might have helped it somehow, but that's not quite what we got. We did get a twist ending, but not nearly of the caliber that we needed. Certainly the rebel rousers, the ones that were out there that was trying to take over the farm, were not exactly sympathetic characters. And yes, they followed him to the locale, but even still, they didn't seem to be very likable in any way, shape, or form. we can go through round 3 here. This may go fast simply because I'm not sure there's a lot in the way of special effects, but you can talk about music, special effects, technical aspects of the film, whatever you want to do. We'll start with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, what do you got for us?
Oh, I don't have much. No, I don't really have anything at all. One thing that I was reading in a review, and I suppose maybe if this is one that Brenda wants to pick out for us, they said this movie, that we watched, this is a less darker and less scary version of the fifth wave. I haven't had a chance to look that up, but anyway, I thought, well, maybe we'll try to watch the fifth wave if I can find it somewhere. But that was one of the reviews I read, and as I was just looking up characters, one of the reviews said this movie is on the silent hour is a less darker and scarier version of the fifth wave. So I found that interesting. So perhaps somebody has heard of that movie. W5BLT.
Okay, I wrote that one down too. I'm looking for it. Let's see, Brenda, WP50ZL. Brenda, your parting comments, technical, whatever you'd like. Go ahead.
Oh, let me be clear. I don't pick these movies. This is a running gag joke. In all these years we've been doing this, I picked exactly one, The Creeping Terror, which I'm happy to say I picked the worst movie in all of history. If you haven't seen it, you're in for a treat because it's that bad. So, let's see. Back to the movie. Special effects, almost none. This had to be a low-budget movie. They found some old farmhouse somewhere and shot a movie in it and used no-name actors and spaceships. That was, pretty cheesy. That was the only special effects we had. So I often wonder sometimes why a movie gets made. Who read that script and said, yeah, this will make a good movie? I'm just curious. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Wow, that was quick. Okay, yeah. Did you pick The Creeping Terror? There was a guy at work that actually, way back when I was still traveling, we were on a trip, on a gig somewhere, and we had pranked excessively, and he had mentioned Creeping Terror. But if you want to take credit for it, it's perfectly fine. That's a pretty terrible movie. All right, next up is Jay, KG5BZWJ. Your parting shots, technical, whatever you want. Go ahead, from KE5I6.
Hey, this is KG5BZW. We'll go back to, somebody else mentioned being on the 2-meter band, which is, that was kind of interesting. Not that I'd ever heard activity on it like that. In fact, I kind of wonder if that. I don't know. Never mind. So there's solar panels on the house. I don't know. Did they ever even cover plumbing? Like did they could have a well system or something, and maybe the solar power panels powered the well system or something. I don't know if I ever with their, where do they get their water from? I'm just trying to think of stuff that might be interesting to talk about here, and of course it only occurs to me to think about these things when the questions presented, not beforehand. I'm actually one sec. Okay, I'm on my phone to do Echo Link, so I have to stop transmitting to see what the messages written are. Well, yeah, the spacecraft was pretty cheap. Oh, you have the car, yeah. Golly. There's not really, it's like I could go on about some random stuff, but I don't feel like it'd be just net like this movie was overextended. So, since I can't think of anything else really important, I'll head to the next person. KG5BZW.
All right, thank you, Jay. Yeah, I think we're recovering old ground, but that's okay. KB9SOK. Sean, your final comments, whatever you'd like.
This is KB9SOK. Yeah, the special effects, not much there than a little bit of CG for the spaceships. Old farmhouse. Obviously, it's pretty cheap to film. As far as the survivalist thing goes, I think, they did mention that the solar power is primarily used for the radio. Being an old farmhouse, it would have had, definitely its own septic system. And even a lot of old farmhouses even have hand pumps for the well. My grandfather's house actually has one. It still works. So, yeah, I could believe that they could survive out there on their own like that. But, yeah, as far as music, yeah, not much there. Didn't really notice it, so I don't really remember there being a lot of added to that part of it. Yeah, you mentioned the ham radio part. It sounded like they were listening to shortwave even though they was on 2 meters. Obviously, that was not right. I don't know why they don't do a little research into these things, but oh well. I guess at least we saw a ham radio. I guess since Virginia's not here, I'll make the 2001 reference. Well, we never got to see the aliens, so I guess that's like 2001. So that's about all. So yeah, not much else to say on this film. Definitely better than last week's. Just disappointed with the ending primarily, and looking forward to the next one like always. Enjoy hearing everybody. Back to that. KB9SOK.
All right, thank you, Sean. Yeah, well, aliens. What aliens? Okay. Next, Alex, you got anything else for us? KJ5EYK. If you're still out there, it may be. What do you think? Anything else you want to bring to the net this evening?
No, not about this one, but I will tell you Battle Los Angeles is readily available. It's a fun movie. It's right up there with Battleship, another fun movie. Anyway, that's all I've got back to the net. KJ5EYK.
All right, cool deal. Alex, I'm going to go look for it, see if I can find it. I'll put it in the queue so we got something to watch that's a little more entertaining than our fine film that we watched this week. Okay, I've got nothing to add. Technical aspects of the film, I thought technically the film went really well, no problem. Audio was great. The cinematography was good, didn't see any problems there. There were some decent shots that went on in that regard. Sound effects were fine. Even the alien spacecraft, even though it's very limited, seemed to work okay, but I think that was on purpose because they didn't want to show any warts on any CGI or anything else they did, so they kept that at a minimum. Overall, it was filmed on location, so that is really difficult to do. The reason why they do sound stages is you can control the environment so well, and when you're in the wild, you are subjected to a lot of things, and I think they did a good job with it. Normally, I can remember the music. I don't, but I didn't find anything particularly objectionable or weird or different or inspiring for that matter, so it was pretty much middle of the road. So, you got that. All right, give me a couple of minutes here. Let me see what next week's movie is. I was sleepwalking and not doing what I was supposed to, telling you what next week's movie is. So, hang on just a second. Oh, this is an interesting one. I found this one. I didn't even know that it existed until just this week. From 1958, it's a color feature. It's called From the Earth to the Moon. Yes, it's a retelling of the original story, hopefully with a little better effects. But from 1958, I did kind of a rudimentary look at it, and it looks pretty good. Don't know if it's pretty good. Might not be good at all. But at any rate, it's next week's movie. Got some other things coming up as well. It came from somewhere, from 2023. Moon Crash is coming, and then they came from Beyond Space. So some new stuff that might be entertaining. There's a couple of comedies in there, so I think it'll be fun. So that's it. We'll close this one early, man. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for participating. Don't forget, you can go to Afterglow Movie Facebook page. That's 2 words, Afterglow and Movie. And you look under guides, you will find all of the movies coming up, as well as the discussion area. And then I usually pin whatever the latest movie is on top so you can find it. It's located on the discussion page, and it sits just below where you can write something. So until next week, this is KE5ICX saying, keep looking towards the stars for better movies with better stars. See y'all. It's KE5ICX. Clear.